Justin Roiland's new alien comedy, Solar Opposites, has crash-landed on Hulu with 8 bingeable episodes. This sci-fi sitcom tells the story of a quartet of aliens and their planet-destroying pet-slash-toddler pupa adapting to earthly ways as they repair their spaceship and wait for imminent destruction. Because this is coming from the mind of one of the biggest cartoon auteurs of the past decade, there are some big shoes to fill. Does this space sitcom stand out on its own? If you're a Rick and Morty fan, will you like this show? I'm Whitney Van Laningham, and today we're answering those questions in our Solar Opposite review.
Oh, yeah.
Before we get started, I want to give a shout out to our super nerd sponsor of the day, Kevin Brown. Thanks to space aliens like them, we're able to blast our starship towards the moon another week. Want to help out? Click the link in the description box to see if any of our Patreon donation tiers work for you. We'll reward you with behind-the-scenes looks, extra videos, special prizes, and more. If t-shirts are what you seek, check out our TeePublic affiliate link below. We've got some great Rick and Morty shirts up there right now. Now on to Solar Opposites! If you haven't seen Solar Opposites yet, never fear. This is a spoiler-free review so that you can see if you're interested. But if you consider character motivations or which episodes have big payoffs as spoilers, here's your warning. Created by Justin Roiland and Mike McMahon, Solar Opposites tells the tale of 4 alien beings, Corvo, Terry, Yumulak, and Jesse, from the planet Schlorp, who land on Earth after an apocalyptic event forces them together. They're interstellar refugees, like a trashier group of Supermans. They also oversee an adorable pupa, which blurs the lines between pet and toddler. This maggot Maggie Simpson might eventually metamorphosize and destroy the entire planet, but the show isn't rushing that plot anytime soon. Corvo and Terry are the adults of the quote-unquote family unit, and Yumulak and Jesse are their replicants. None of these characters are actually biologically related. They've all just been assigned to venture the stars together, but their bond is very much that of any sitcom family. Corvo plays the role of uptight patriarch obsessed with getting off the planet, while Terry is honestly just happy to be here. Terry's the kind of guy who always has that perfect, ironic graphic shirt for every occasion, which you know your girl respects, and is constantly encouraging Corvo to loosen up a little. And this is where it deviates from Rick and Morty. Instead of having an all-knowing, godlike genius filled with sarcasm and nihilistic narcissism, we have these idiots. Although Corvo is technically the more intelligent of the two, he obviously has zero idea how to fit in on Earth, and seems to be relying on the wait-and-see method when it comes to planetary destruction. Terry is definitely more Earth-savvy, but that's only because he's learning some of the most useless things about human life, like playing frisbee on a junior college campus, or catching up on episodes of Fun Bucket. Slowly, however, Terry gets Corvo to step outside his comfort zone, and even though most of the lessons they learn are fraught with horrific mistakes and life-altering errors, I think our guys might actually be learning. While Corvo and Terry spend their days trying to fit in on Earth, Yumulak and Jesse are usually up to hijinks at school. I say usually because there's definitely an entire subplot that revolves around Yumulak's human shrinking hobby, but I don't want to spoil that masterpiece of a B-plot for you. It's honestly the best part of the show. Like Corvo and Terry, Yumulak and Jesse don't really fit in, but in their case, it isn't their fault. Not only are their constantly banging teachers racist against aliens, the other kids in their class don't really give them a chance either. Most of their storylines revolve around trying to get their classmates to like them, or at least hate them a little less. But these characters also go through a lot of development as pseudo-siblings as well. Yumulak is kind of a grumpy and desperate to be cool douche, and Jessie is sweet and equally desperate for her brother and school friends to like her. They're kind of like a watered-down Bart and Lisa. I gotta say though that Jessie is by far my favorite character of the series, perhaps because she's the most genuinely likable. Jessie is funny as frick, kind-hearted, and the kind of little alien sister anyone would want to have. Like, yeah, she'll throw down with you and destroy the entire school in the process, but she'll also try to make you a better person. The pupa is obviously my other favorite character, because he's basically a pug with the planet-destroying powers of the Death Star. He mostly exists as comic relief that any pet owner or toddler parent will relate to. Most of the time, our protagonists are trying to stop him from eating something that he shouldn't and wondering whether or not he's the right color. But don't be fooled. As we discover in later episodes, the writers do a great job of reminding you that this cute little blob is lethal. Voicing these main characters are Justin Roiland as Corvo, obviously, Thomas Middleditch as Terry, Sean Jim Brown as Yumulak, and Mary Mack as Jessie. I know that most people know Thomas Middleditch from Silicon Valley, but oh man, if you haven't watched his long-form improv show Middleditch and Schwartz, get on that. You know, after you finish watching this. Sean Jan Brown was hard for me to place vocally at first, until I realized he's the kid who played Ron Stoppable in the live-action Kim Possible movie. He was also apparently on The Goldbergs, but Nerdwire doesn't cover that shiz, so I've never seen it. And Mary Mack delivers my favorite performance of the four. This comedian has only had a couple other VO gigs, but man, she slays as Jessie. There's also a number of surprising side character voices, like Tiffany Haddish, Ken Marino, Wendy McClendon-Covey, Natalie Morales, Jason Mantzoukas, Andy Daly, Christina Hendricks, and Alfred Molina. Let's get the big elephant in the room question out of the way. Is Solar Opposites anything like Rick and Morty? Well, yes and no. You can definitely tell it's created by Justin Roiland. His colorful, often gory art style is present throughout. From the distinct, buggy, minimalist eyes and the curved mouth corners on our alien friends, to the squanchy-esque side character Fun Bucket. I've also had enough hours of Rick, Morty, and Lemon Grab drilled into my brain that I could recognize his voice acting in my sleep. There's also the fact that it takes place in space and on Earth, but Solar Opposites definitely spends way more time Earthside. Think more Invader Zim, less Rick and Morty. But like Rick and Morty, Solar Opposites loves to play with science fiction tropes by making fun of them and deconstructing them. Fans of the sillier sci-fi gags from R&M will definitely find comfort in the jokes on this show. After all, it's a sitcom, so outer space laughs are unavoidable. But besides those two obvious similarities, there's a lot of differences between the two Roiland space comedies. For starters, this show is produced in conjunction with 20th Century Fox Television, and I think that that's actually one of the easiest ways to describe the show. It feels like American Dad or Family Guy, but written in Roiland's sensibilities. Obviously, there's a little more nuance to it than that, but Solar Opposites straddles the line between Adult Swim and the TBS animation block. In an interview with Den of Geek, co-creator Mike McMahon compared it to classic shows like Frasier, Friends, and Home Improvement. So with that in mind, I think that they totally hit the nail on the head with what they wanted. Minus the swearing, gore, and animated sex scenes, Solar Opposites feels like it should be airing in syndication right before the 8 o'clock news. So that said, I think if you're expecting straight-up Rick and Morty-esque antics, you'll be unfortunately underwhelmed. It's best to go into this series with lower expectations and early Family Guy in mind. This is a show that plays with sitcom family tropes, but ultimately finds comfort in them instead of lampooning them. That's not to say that Solar Opposites is bad. It just isn't the hyper-meta and genre-busting Rick and Morty. Like I said earlier, I see a lot of Zim in this show. Yes, these aliens are totally capable of world annihilation, but they're also spending their time on Earth like idiots. What's refreshing about Solar Opposites, though, is that this family never hides the fact that they're intergalactic foreigners. The best jokes and bits this show has to offer bounce off the fish-out-of-water narrative. Earthly customs are often a mystery, and racism is a prevalent subject of gags. One of my biggest criticisms of the show is that it's pretty low stakes overall. There's obviously the ever-looming doomsday plot, but nothing super drastic happened in Season 1 to make me sit on the edge of my seat waiting for Season 2 to answer my burning questions and feed my need. For a show where a lot of things go wrong every episode, nothing ever feels truly out of control. Perhaps that's my Rick and Morty expectations talking, but honestly, I've seen episodes of Seinfeld with crazier stakes than Cold Lava. I mean, these guys are super dumb and they have a house full of advanced alien tech. I want a little more risk, damn it! With 8 half-hour episodes to binge, Solar Opposites has fairly low stakes for getting into the show. If, after the first 2 or 3 episodes, you're not feeling it, I do recommend fast-forwarding to the last 3 episodes. These final episodes are probably the strongest of the season, and this late bloom has me convinced that this is a show that should have received a 12-episode order to find its footing. Episode 6 is the peak of Solar Opposites' standard sitcom format, but Episode 7 is by far the best episode of the series. 7 breaks the established flow of the show and gives an epic exploration of a subplot that's hinted at throughout the series. I don't want to spoil the details, but this honestly feels like the episodes that those on the fence will regret missing if they skip the series after the pilot. Then there's the finale, which brings us back to format, but also starts to slowly forward the narrative. While this goes against the sitcom-y roots of the show, it helps the series gather momentum for Season 2, and introduces an element that the rest of the show feels like it's missing. And yes, there will be a second season. The Hulu gods have deemed it so. Ultimately, I'd say that Solar Opposites is a decent and fun show that adult animation fans will enjoy as long as they can remove themselves from the expectation that this will be another Rick and Morty. But those are just my thoughts. I want to know what you guys think about this new show in the comments. Are y'all excited for season 2? Or are you feeling a little lukewarm on these new aliens? Share your thoughts and feelings, like and subscribe to Nerdwire, and whatever you do, don't feed the pupa Doritos.